want to talk to you for a minute during my car ride. You know, this carpooling thing ain't no joke. I just dropped Drew off at school, and I'm on my way to my MRI specialist. I was in an accident when my mom was in the hospital. Somebody backed into me, and I've just been having a few health issues. My arthritis is acting up, and I'm just going to see what's going on. My mama gave me them good genes, but she also gave me them bad ones too. So it's important that I pay attention to my body and what it's doing. And so I'm going to get some help and see what's going on with my knee. I was just thinking how important it is to have a village, and you know, these last few years have had me struggling a little bit because I've had 4 surgeries on my hand in 1 year, actually. CMC arthroplasty to remove a joint because my thumbs were rubbing, and I also had carpal tunnel in both my wrists. I got that when I was pregnant with Drew. I had the surgery on the bilateral carpal tunnel release on both my wrists. Thank God. It's important that I groom my children and to make sure that they can grow up to be successful adults that can function in today's society. You know, when I was a single parent with Patrick, I got him involved in a lot of stuff. You know, I got him involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters. I got him involved in church. That's when I found the Lord. And Boy Scouts. Like, I got Patrick involved in so many things, and then God sent me my Boaz. So I got a great support system with my husband. Omar supports me, he loves me, and we're a team. Go Team Baldwins. And so it's important that I discuss being a better person, being a better support system for the people that you love. You know, be the village. You know, everybody is out for themselves in the world, and they don't have any time for you, any time for your children, any time for anything. And to me, you make time for the things you love to do, for the people you love to be around. You know, you just have to make not only yourself a priority, but you have to make the people that love you a priority. You know, it's important that we take care of each other, period. It's important that we support each other and we be there for each other, because like we say, tomorrow isn't promised, but you can't talk about it. In life, you got to be about it, you know. I struggled to take care of Patrick by myself for years, and you know, I had my village. I had Mansfield, praise the Lord, I had Mansfield. And one of my aunts would keep my son from me, and you know, I was going to school full time, I got my degree, and I was working and struggling and taking care of myself, because of course I had my sperm donor, and he wasn't too happy about me leaving him, so I was left to fend for myself and my child by myself, which is okay, because it made me the woman that I am today. It made me stronger. It gave me the power to know the strength that I have within me. So it's important that you know your abilities, and when you find yourself weak, you know, you have to look to the Lord, and you have to, you know, look at what you value in life and make yourself better, period. You know, but moving to Georgia, I didn't think about leaving my support system, Mansfield, and people that really love me and my best friends. You know, it was kind of difficult for me to leave those people behind, but I wanted more from my son. And I had just had Andrew, and I knew I wanted better for him. I wanted more for us. So I knew the value of the home and the living. It's just so much better in Georgia, period. You get way more for your money, and it's just, I've lived here before, so you know, through my sister, thank God that she was able to, you know, show us a better life in Georgia and in California. So I knew that it was something greater for me, and so I wasn't afraid, you know. With God by my side, you know, He is, and that is it, period. And He gave me the strength that I needed to support my family and be there, you know, more for my children, because that's what it's all about, is being there for your children. And so I didn't think about leaving my village support system behind. And when I moved here, there were a lot of challenges with me working, you know, me and my husband both working and trying to, you know, pay for daycare. And, you know, it seemed to be costing us more for me to work than it was for me to stay home with my children and make sure that I'm available for them and their needs. The struggle became real. I would say 6 years ago, maybe 7, when I discovered that my son Andrew had a little more issues than I realized, because everybody was telling me that kids learn at their own pace, they'll talk when they're ready and all of this, but I knew something was going on with my child because he wasn't speaking really. And when he went to elementary school was when I finally found out that he was hearing like he was underneath water. And you know, all along I had taken my son to his pediatrician, and I kept talking to her about what was going on with my son's issues, and there was no type of help. I didn't receive any type of referrals to get him any kind of help. So he was behind. And then he had surgery. I had to take him to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and he passed all of the hearing tests for pre-K, because he was in pre-K and, you know, kindergarten, all that. And then I find out later that he can't hear. And no wonder, he was lip reading. And he always had the little texture issues and stuff. And I didn't think anything of it. You know, I just gave him what he wanted to make sure that I provided, you know, as long as he was happy, you know, I was happy. And so he had the texture issue thing going on and the hearing thing. And so then we got the adenoids taken out, and then we got the he had his adenoids taken out, and he had to have tubes in his ears. And I was still working, trying to, you know, take care of us, you know, be a good partner to my husband, not put all the struggle and the weight on him, and still be a good mother and pay attention to my child. But, you know, the ear, nose, and throat doctor put him on Singular. So my baby has been on Singular because he also had asthma and really bad allergy problems. So the Singular helped him with his allergies and stuff, but years later I find out that those medications was creating a whole lot of other symptoms. They was creating the anxiety, it was creating the ADHD, it was creating the social problems. Like, I really thought that he had autism. So I was like trying to get him some help, but after a certain age, it's too late. Like, you know, the insurance wouldn't pay for the testing. They want you to pay for it, you know. It was just a lot. I had him tested for Early syndrome, like crazy stuff. And they tried to say he had Early syndrome, where it's what your eyes visually see when you're looking at paper and stuff, and lighting and all of that have an effect. So they wanted me to buy overlays, and they had him, like, that was an expensive test that I had to come out of pocket to pay for. He currently have an IEP for autism because the school psychiatrist gave him that diagnosis when she had to test him, because he's always had the sensitivity thing too going on. I took him off the medicine. Needless to say, his symptoms, everything improved. Now, he was on that medicine since kindergarten. I just took him off this summer, and he was going to 7th grade, you know. And I'm glad I did that, because that medicine creates big problems. And I realized that when my mother's health was failing, that the medicines was creating a bunch of side effects for her, and there were nobody there to pay attention to what those side effects were. So it's very, very, very important, guys, that we pay attention to the side effects in these medicines, and we pay attention to, you know, what they're helping, and if it's really worth it. I discovered through this process, through my cousin, that there was a lot of natural products that I could use to help my son. So I began to get into oils and stuff like that, and I spray rosemary and lavender on the pillows and sheets and stuff at night, and I burn peppermint oil in their rooms, and that helps with their asthma and stuff. So, you know, it's just the things I have to do to make my children happy and healthy. And, you know, I had my son Orion, and I had him, he's 5 now. So before he turned 2, I realized that there was a lot going on with his health that I wasn't prepared to accept, and my husband really wasn't prepared to accept it. But I knew that there was something going on because I saw it in Andrew, and because I had all my aunts and all my mom and everybody, all the older people telling me, oh, it's cool, ain't nothing wrong with that boy, he need a spanking, they just need, you know, discipline, which I know I discipline them. Anybody that know me knows that I don't play when it comes to kids, and I teach respect, and I believe in all that. So needless to say, I got my baby some help. I took him to Babies Can't Wait at 1.5, and I was very proactive. I lost my job. I worked there for a 1.5 years, and the commute was horrendous because I was commuting Patrick to Kennesaw High School. It was one of the best schools in Georgia because I live in Cobb County. However, I don't want my son to be in a school with too much of one race. I believe in raising diverse children. I believe in expanding your child's knowledge, which in the end will expand their wealth. And so that was my goal. 1.5 hours there to work and 1.5 hours back from work, just so that I could take my son. I didn't have any help, you know. I had to do it by myself. He was in football. Hey, guess what? Thank God for my husband. You know, it is what it is. But I had to commute my son back and forth to school, and it was a job that I hated, and it was so stressful. So I would not quit, but I ended up losing my job. You know, God will step in, honey. Believe me, when there's no way out, he'll find you a way out, you know. And thank God that I was able to get unemployment. Thank God for that, you know. I found out that I was pregnant with Orion. Okay. Lost my job. I was going to school to finish what I started, to be an RN, because that was my dream goal of what I wanted to do in life. Because as a young teenager, I got into the nursing field, and I went to vocational school, became a nurse aide, and I really love taking care of old people. Because I always remember taking care of my grandmother, and I remember I had to give her a bath, and I will never forget that. That was like such a memorable moment for me. And then I brushed her hair and used to braid it. So I guess that's where it started. But she died when I was 11. So, but that was my calling. God has a way of giving you what you need, not always what you want. So he gave me this blessing, and it was a hard time for me because Patrick was about to graduate, and here I am pregnant, and I was in the middle of my program, schooling, and it was just a stressful time, and I didn't have any support. You know, I contemplated getting an abortion, and it's kind of difficult. Found out that one of my family members was discussing it with someone that I was taking care of to make extra money on the side, and was somehow, you know, knew all of my business, you know, that I was contemplating getting you know, an abortion. I had to think about my life. That was really hard for me to decide, you know, whether or not I should keep the life inside of me that was growing. It took me into depression, needless to say.